Let's see if we're ready to go. Can I address everyone in courtroom two?
Yes, you can, Your Honor.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. If you have any objection to your case being handled by video, please let me know when you come before me. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used. You have a right to have an attorney present at these proceedings. We are providing you with the assistance of public defenders today if you choose to utilize their services. Who do we have first?
Your Honor, is the Spanish interpreter on? She should be on.
Is Madam Interpreter with us?
If not, we'll just go to position number 16, Ms. Diamond Johnson.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Johnson. You've been charged in case 24 CR 005463D with battery family violence. Let's see. Is there a history? Ms. Washington, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yes, this is the defendant's third arrest with multi-state interaction in Georgia and in Alabama. The last arrest was in 2018 for possession of forged instrument in Huntsville, Alabama. There was no disposition that was listed. In 2018, the defendant pled nolo to criminal trespass in Clayton County. The defendant does meet the criteria for level 2 with exception to the bail restricted charges. Nothing further.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Allen.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This is an incident that occurred on the 4th of August at 4555 Washington Road. The victim in this case, Ms. Pitts, is the roommate with this defendant. She reports that there was an argument. This is the first time that the victim reports the defendant has been physical with her. Her face is swollen. She is fearful and wants no contact. She would like the defendant to be ordered to stay away from the location. Police were called to the location because there was a physical fight reported, and on scene, the victim reported that her roommate had punched her in the face. She said that she'd tried to intervene in a physical assault that this young woman was having with her boyfriend. That person fled the scene before police got there. We would recommend a $3,000 SOB through the jail, Your Honor, pretrial level 2. And I believe the victim, Mrs. Pitts, her first name is Shun Dyer. I believe it's spelled S-H-U-N. D-I-E-R. She should be joining us on Zoom if you could sound for her, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name.
If Ms. Pitts is with us and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. You'll need to unmute for me, and I'll have to swear you in. Let's see, I see 2 Samsungs. Are either of you, Ms. Pitts? Okay, doesn't appear to be so. Thank you, Ms. Allen. Let's see, Mr. McLean, is this your case? Good afternoon. Yes.
Yes, Your Honor. Certainly, we would have no objection to a signature bond. I've explained to her how the methodologies in which with which not to miss court.
Okay. Ms. Johnson. Oh, anything further, Mr. McLean? Anything further?
Nothing.
Okay, it'll be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2, 1-day anger awareness, no further contacts with Ms. Pitts, stay away from the Washington Road address. She can go back to that address on 1 occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Johnson.
Next, Your Honor, it's going to be position number 8, Mr. Brooks. I'm going to say it one more time. If I see you talk, I hear you talk, I'm going to say it.
Good afternoon, Mr. Brooks. You've been charged in case 24CR005453Y with battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Washington?
Yes, this is the defendant's ninth arrest. The last arrest was in 2022 for driving while license suspended or revoked, and that was out of Conyers. The defendant pled no to that charge. In 2006, the defendant received first offender treatment for carrying a pistol without a license, carrying a concealed weapon, and criminal use of an article with an altered ID. And that was out of Fulton County. In 2010, there was a felony conviction for criminal damage to property, aggravated stalking, and simple battery out of Fulton County. In 2018, the defendant pled no to battery, family violence, and criminal trespass in Clayton County. The defendant does meet the criteria for level 2 with exception to the bail restricted charges. Nothing further.
Good afternoon, Ms. McConkey.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
The victim in this case is Anna Lem Sperling. She advised officers that her and her child's father, the defendant, got into an altercation after she requested that he give her the money back for a defective car she had bought from an associate of the defendant's. She told the defendant that she was going to return the car and she was also going to be filing a police report. The defendant then came to the location that she was at, which is 2410 Metropolitan Parkway Southwest, and started yelling at the victim and grabbed her arm. The victim pepper sprayed the defendant, but that only made him angrier, and he proceeded to punch her in the face, knock her to the ground, and she stated that they fought for about 20 minutes. At one point, the defendant's sister, Erica Brooks, joined in and began punching her as well. The defendant did sustain 2 black eyes, a bloody nose, and a laceration under her eye. Given the allegations in this case and the fact that the defendant has a conviction already for battery family violence, the recommendation is a $3,500 surety bond, no further contact with the victim, Anna Lem Sperling, stay away from the incident location, either anger awareness or an FBIP, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. I would ask the court to sound from Ms. Anna Lem Sperling at this time.
If Ms. Sperling is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. Doesn't appear so. Is your case, Mr. Cook?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 37 years old and has lived in the area his entire life. We would object to an FBIP. He is a person of modest income. He's not working at the moment. So we would be seeking a bond no higher than around $1,500 if it has to be a surety bond. We certainly don't object to any of the other conditions, stay away or no further contact.
Okay, it'll be a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3, 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with Ms. Sperling, stay away from the Metropolitan Parkway address, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Brooks. And Norris, it looks like the Ms. Chancey, the Spanish interpreter, is on the line now.
Okay, thank you. So in that case, Your Honor, we're gonna go to position number 1, Mr. Aguilar Hernandez.
Okay, good afternoon, Ms. Chancey. Thank you for being here with us this afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
If you can raise your right hand for me, do you swear or affirm that you will translate from English to Spanish and Spanish to English to the best of your ability?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Aguilar Hernandez. You have been charged in case 24CR005447J with a hit and run and willful obstruction of law enforcement officers.
Buenas tardes, señor Aguilar. Usted ha sido acusado en el caso 24CR005447J por chocar y huir y por obstrucción a la autoridad.
Is there a history, Ms. Washington?
¿Hay antecedentes, señora Washington?
Yes, this is the defendant's first arrest. There is
Este es
no,
el primer arresto.
there is no criminal history on file, and the defendant meets the criteria for UJR jail.
Y no hay antecedentes penales. Este ha sido el primer arresto y este acusado cumple los requisitos para tramitar a través de la cárcel.
McConkey?
Yes, the defendant is accused of backing his vehicle into the vehicle of Kobe Para.
El acusado, se indica que el acusado retrocedió golpeando el carro de Toby Tierra.
When officers arrived, the defendant fled the scene on foot.
Y cuando los oficiales llegaron, el acusado huyó del lugar de los hechos a pie.
The following day, he was voluntarily transported to the police station and stated that he ran because he didn't have money to fix the victim's vehicle.
Él fue transportado a la comisaría el día siguiente, donde declaró que él escapó porque no tenía dinero para pagar los daños causados al otro vehículo.
We have spoken with the victim who confirmed he did not know the defendant, confirmed the events in the warrant, and stated that his car is dented and scratched.
One moment, please. También hemos contactado a la víctima, en donde declaró que no conoce al acusado, confirmó la información que se había declarado y que dijo que recibió unos hendiduras y raspones en el vehículo.
The state's recommendation is a signature bond, no further contact with the victim, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond, and I would ask the court to sound for the victim, Mr. Kobe Para.
Entonces, la recomendación de la fiscalía es una fianza bajo firma, no tener más contacto con la víctima, queda prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras esté bajo fianza, y si por favor su señoría podría llamar a la víctima, el señor Toby Terra.
If Mr. Pero is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity. Any objection to any of the state's requests, Mr. Cook?
No, Your Honor, we would ask that the signature bond be through the jail.
¿Alguna objeción, señor Cook, de las condiciones de la fiscalía? No. Quisiera que solamente solicitar que todo este trámite se conduzca a través de la cárcel.
Okay. Charge of a $1,000 signature bond through the jail, makes for a total of a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, other bond.
I'm sorry, sir. You got cut off before the $2,000 signature bond through the jail. Did you say something else?
There'll be a $1,000 signature bond through the jail on each charge.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Serán $1,000 de multa de fianza bajo firma a través de la cárcel por cada uno de los cargos, un total de $2,000 de fianza bajo firma, y queda prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras esté bajo fianza.
Good luck to you, Mr. Aguilar.
Buena suerte, señor Aguilar.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I was running around in the courtroom. Can you tell me that bond amount again?
I can. So a $1,000 signature bond through the jail on each charge. So it's a $2,000 signature bond through the jail total.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Next.
Do we need Ms. Chansey for any other cases?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
we have two more.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
This is gonna be position number 3, Mr. Arroyo Magana.
Es la posición 3, señor Arroyo Magaña.
Good afternoon, Mr. Arroyo Magana. You have been charged in case 24 CR 005448F with battery family violence and 2 counts of cruelty to children in the 3rd degree.
Señor Arroyo Magaña, usted está acusado en el caso 24CR005448F por golpes y lesiones, violencia familiar y otro cargo por crueldad ante un menor en en dos grados.
Is there a history, Ms. Washington?
Yes, Your Honor. This is the defendant's first arrest. No criminal history is on file, and the defendant meets the criteria for UJR. Nothing further.
Este acusado recibió el primer arresto. El primer arresto y no hay ningún antecedente en los archivos. Y can you hear me, Your Honor?
I can hear you, Ms. Chansey.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I had gotten cut off. Entonces, y él cumple los requisitos para que la fianza se procese a través de la cárcel.
Ms. McCockey?
Officers responded to the incident location 4222 Washington Road in East Point in reference to a domestic dispute.
Los oficiales respondieron al 4222 de Washington Road en East Point debido a una disputa doméstica.
They met with the victim, Maria Cervantes, who advised that her husband, the defendant, came home and asked that she make him food.
Se contactaron con la víctima María Cervantes, quien dijo que su esposo llegó a el hogar y pidió que le hiciera la comida.
When she refused, the defendant began to strike her in the head.
Cuando ella se rechazó, el acusado comenzó a golpearla en la cabeza.
The party's two children, juveniles with the initials AA and AD, were present and witnessed the assault.
Los dos menores presentes, identificados con iniciales AA y AD, observaron lo que pasó.
Officers spoke with juvenile AA, who advised that his father had been drinking all day and started kicking the door and striking his mother all over her body.
El menor o la menor AA, identificada AA, dijo a los oficiales que el padre había estado tomando todo el día, que había pateado la puerta y golpeado a la madre en todo su cuerpo.
Officers noted the defendant's speech was slurred, he had an inability to control his attitude, and the smell of alcohol was coming from his body.
Los oficiales observaron que el acusado balbuceaba, no olía alcohol. I'm sorry, he had a slurred speech, the odor of alcohol, and what was the third condition, madam?
Could not control his attitude.
Oh, thank you. Y no podía controlar su actitud.
The victim sustained a swelling to the back of her head.
Y la víctima obtuvo inflamación en la parte trasera de la cabeza.
The state's recommendation is $2,000 surety on the battery family violence, $500 surety on each count of cruelty, no further contact with the victims, stay away from the incident location, anger awareness, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. And I would ask the court to sound for the victim, Maria Cervantes, if she's on the Zoom.
I'm sorry, after the family violence, for the charge of family violence, 2,000 surety bond. What was that after that?
$500 surety bond on each count of cruelty to children. No further contact with the victims.
Yes, I got the rest.
got it.
Thank
Okay.
you. La recomendación de la fiscalía es $2,000 de fianza por el cargo de violencia familiar, también $500 por cada cargo de crueldad ante un menor. Se prohíbe el contacto con la víctima, también registrarse en un programa para el manejo de la ira, y se prohíbe el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras esté bajo fianza.
And I believe Miss Cervantes is on the line, so I would ask the court to sound for her.
Señora I'm sorry. Cervantes está en la línea. ¿Me puede escuchar, por favor? Avísenos.
Sí, aquí estoy.
Okay. I'm here.
Okay, if you would like to address the court, I'll need for you to activate your camera.
Por favor, si quiere que hablar con el juez, tiene que activar su cámara.
Okay.
Do you require the assistance of the interpreter, Ms. Cervantes?
Usted
No.
necesita... Okay, perfecto.
Okay. Can you raise your right hand for me?
Puede levantar su mano.
Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you can place your hand down. What would you like to tell the court?
To remove the charges for Caesar.
Yo quisiera que sacara los cargos, por favor, señor.
Okay, you want him to come back into your household?
¿Usted quiere que regrese a su casa?
Sí.
Yes.
Has this ever happened before?
No.
¿Ha pasado
Are you-
esto antes? No.
Are you afraid of him?
¿Tiene miedo?
No.
No.
Why did you find it necessary to call the police the other day?
¿Por qué
I
necesitó
did-
llamar a la policía?
I did not call. He called.
Yo no llamé, él llamó.
Oh, okay, so, your husband called the police?
¿Su esposo
Yes.
llamó? Sí.
And why did he call the police?
¿Por qué él llamó a la policía?
I guess he wanted me out of his house.
Creo que él me quería fuera de su casa.
Do you both live there together?
Yes, we
Viven-
live here together.
¿Viven juntos? Sí, vivimos juntos.
Okay, with your children?
¿Con los hijos?
Correct.
Correcto.
Okay. Anything further, Ms. Cervantes?
No,
¿Algo más?
nothing further.
No, nada más.
Mr. Cook?
Señor
Yes.
Cook,
Her testimony comports with what my client had said. He is in the construction business. He has been in the Atlanta area about 8 years. They do have 2 kids together, 1 5, 1 6. And he indeed had told me that he had called the police to more or less calm things down.
Let Madam Interpreter,
él,
I'm sorry.
él ha estado en en el área de construcción. Él tienen estado en el área de Atlanta por prácticamente 3 años, 4 años, y tienen 2 hijos juntos. You can go ahead, sir.
Given that, we would be seeking a signature bond through pretrial, if that is not restricted on the count, no further violent contact, and we would like him to be able to return to the home as is his wife's wishes.
Nosotros pedimos una una fianza bajo firma a través de los servicios previos al juicio, si no hay ninguna restricción, y que no vuelvan a tener contacto violento para que él pueda regresar al hogar.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Nada más, su señoría.
for the battery, a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. For each cruelty to children, a $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1 makes for a total of a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1.
So it's 1,000 for each cruelty to children. Yeah,
Yes.
all right, thank you. Entonces, para el cargo de golpes y lesiones es una fianza de $3,000 bajo firma a través de los servicios previos al juicio en el nivel 1. Para cada cargo de crueldad ante un menor son $1,000 de fianza a través de los servicios anteriores al juicio en el cargo 1 con una totalidad de una fianza de $5,000 a través de los servicios al juicio del nivel 1.
1 day anger awareness, no further violent contact with Miss Maria Cervantes, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Tiene que tomar una clase de manejo de la ira, no tener más contacto alguno violento con la señora María Cervantes y queda prohibido el uso de drogas y alcohol y armas mientras esté bajo fianza.
Good luck to you, sir.
Buena suerte a este señor.
Is Miss Coons in courtroom too?
Yeah, she's still here.
Okay, Pat has been trying to call, they were trying to call ACDC. Could you put the number
Oh,
to
she
in the
already spoke
chat?
to them, Ms. Mokaki. She spoke to her.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Everything's done. I got you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Next, Your Honor, is going to be position number 4, Mr. Barajas Zavala. Spanish interpreter.
And Your Honor,
Yes.
this is a co-defendant case.
Ese es un caso de coacusados.
With which position?
23, Your Honor, Juan Sanchez Lopez.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir. You have been charged in case 24 CR 005449D with simple battery.
Buenas tardes, señor. Usted está acusado en el caso 24CR 05449D por golpes y lesiones simples, violencia familiar.
Is there a history, Miss Washington?
¿Hay antecedentes, señora Washington?
Yes, this is the defendant's third arrest. The last arrest was in 2022 for driving while license suspended or revoked, which appears to be open.
Sí, su señoría. Hay 3 procesos antes. El último fue en el 2022 por manejar con una licencia suspendida o vencida y todavía está abierto.
The defendant meets the criteria for level 2.
Y este acusado cumple los requisitos para un nivel 2.
Miss
I'll
McC-
go first.
Okay.
Defendant Barajas is accused of attacking defendant Lopez by hitting him in the back of the neck. Defendant Barajas and defendant Lopez were both working at the incident location.
One
Defendant-
moment, please. El
Oh, I'm so
acusado
sorry.
Barajas está acusado de golpear al señor López en la parte de atrás del cuello y ellos dos trabajaban juntos. Please continue. Thank you.
Defendant Lopez stated that he discharged his Glock 19 one time into the ground after he was hit in the back of the neck by defendant Barajas.
El acusado López dijo que el acusado Barajas disparó el arma al suelo que terminó lesionándole la parte de trasera del cuello.
Defendant Barajas stated that something split his bottom lip. It is unclear if it was a bullet fragment from the gun that was shot.
El acusado Barajas dijo que algo partió el labio debajo, pero no se sabía si fuera la bala o que había rebotado del piso.
The state's recommendation is a signature bond through pretrial services level 2, no further contact with defendant Lopez, stay away from the incident location, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol.
Y la recomendación de la Fiscalía es una fianza bajo firma a través de los servicios previos al juicio del nivel 2, no tener más contacto con el acusado López, mantenerse alejado del lugar del incidente y queda prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras esté bajo fianza.
Where is the incident location, Ms. McConkey?
¿Cuál es la dirección del incidente?
619 Boulevard Northeast, Atlanta. I'm looking it up right now.
El lugar es 619 Boulevard Noreste en Atlanta.
Mr. Cook?
We would be seeking that signature bond through the jail. Beyond that, we would have no objection to the recommendation from the state.
Señor Cook, nosotros solicitamos una fianza bajo firma a través de la cárcel. Más allá de eso, no tenemos ninguna objeción con la recomendación de la Fiscalía.
And it is showing it is a building. I'm not sure exactly what type of building it is.
Sé que es un edificio, se ve, pero no sé qué tipo de edificio es.
It's a construction site. They're both working at a construction site.
Es un lugar que está en construcción. Ambos trabajan ahí.
Does he need to go back to that construction site for his job, Mr. Cook?
Señor Cook, ¿él necesita ir de nuevo para trabajar?
You do? He's indicating, he's shaking his head yes, Tom.
Okay,
Está
well, given the
diciendo que-
charge. I'm sorry, go ahead, Ms. Chancey.
No, está diciendo usted que sí, señor. Yes.
Okay,
Pero no
he
hay
can go,
problema en cambio de domicilio de trabajo.
But,
So-
perdón.
No
Perdón.
hay problema con cambiar de domicilio de trabajo. Mi patrón tiene varios trabajos.
There is no problem to change job sites. My boss has different job sites.
okay. As such, it will be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2.
Será una una fianza de $2,000 bajo firma a través de los servicios previos al juicio en el nivel 2.
No further contact with Juan Sanchez Lopez.
No tener más contacto con Juan Sánchez López.
Stay away from the incident location.
Manténgase alejado del lugar del incidente
No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
y queda prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras esté bajo fianza.
Good luck to you, sir.
Buena suerte, señor.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Your Honor, we can go to position 23, the co-defendant, Mr. Sanchez Lopez.
Okay.
Your Honor, I think there's some confusion. There was no conflict attorney requested unless I'm misspeaking. Ms. Kim, I don't know. You with me, Jay?
Ms. Champion, did we have a conflict attorney available today?
Your Honor, this position is the position that you signed that NARPROS on.
Oh, so, was it,
One of the counts was null pros, a simple battery. He's got a reckless conduct charge only.
It had both counts.
And specifically states count 2 is null pros as part of the null pros order. I'll resubmit it if it's confusing.
Yes, because you have both of them listed on here.
Correct, because there are 2 charges on the case, but I'll change it and send it back to you. That's fine. We don't intend on null prosing the reckless conduct. Your Honor just heard the facts of this case. He admitted he fired his firearm into the ground after being struck. And it is believed that the firearm created a projectile or ricochet piece that struck the young man who was just in front of the court in the lip. This is the altercation at a construction site.
Does Mr. Sanchez Lopez require an interpreter?
Señor Sánchez, usted requiere un intérprete. ¿Habla inglés?
Muy poquito.
He speaks little English.
Okay. Mr. Sanchez Lopez, you have been charged in case 24 CR 005459D with reckless conduct.
Señor Sánchez, usted ha sido acusado en el cargo 24 CR 005459D por conducta negligente.
You have a
Your
right
Honor,
to, well, he doesn't have an attorney, right? So is someone gonna represent him today or not?
that's my point. We do not have a conflict of interest.
Okay, and so that's what I was going to let him know, that no attorney is present, and give him the option of seeing what he wants to do today.
Ningún abogado está presente para representarlo y que le doy la oportunidad para que diga lo que tenga que decir.
So, Mr. Sanchez Lopez, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you.
Señor Sánchez López, usted tiene el derecho a guardar silencio. Todo lo que diga puede ser usado en su contra.
You have a right to have an attorney present at these proceedings today, but unfortunately, we do not have a conflict attorney available to represent you.
Usted tiene el derecho a ser representado por un abogado en el proceso hoy, pero desafortunadamente no tenemos un abogado que lo represente.
As such, if you would like to proceed pro se without the advice of an attorney, I can allow you to do that.
Si usted quiere continuar representándose a sí mismo, puedo permitirle eso.
Or if you would like to wait until tomorrow when we can have an attorney present to represent you, I can allow you to do that.
O usted puede esperar hasta mañana, cuando tengamos un abogado que pueda representarlo, le puedo permitir que haga eso también.
Quisiera saber cuáles son mis cargos.
I would like to know what my charges are.
As I just told you, you're charged with reckless conduct.
Como yo le acabo de decir, está acusado por conducta negligente.
Tengo que aceptarlo, ¿no? O es que nunca había estado en una situación igual.
So do I have to accept it? The thing is that I've never been in a similar situation.
I understand. So the options that you have are proceeding today without representation, or coming back tomorrow when we can have a lawyer there to represent you.
Las dos opciones que tiene es proceder así, sin nadie que lo represente, o esperar hasta mañana cuando haya un abogado que lo represente en este caso.
This is a bond hearing for you today to set a bond on your case.
Esta es una audiencia de fianza para establecer una fianza en su caso solamente hoy.
Deseo continuar así como.
I would like to continue like this.
Okay. Is there a history, Ms. Washington?
¿Hay antecedentes, señora Washington?
This is the defendant's first arrest, and the defendant meets the criteria for UJR jail.
Este es el primer arresto y el acusado cumple los requisitos para recibir una fianza a través de la cárcel.
Yes, Ms. Allen.
Your Honor, given that this case includes the use of a firearm in a reckless manner,
Debido a que este caso, su señoría, incluye el uso de una arma y también conducta negligente,
we would be asking for a $5,000 surety bond, Your Honor, and to have no contact and surrender firearms.
Vamos a solicitar una fianza de $5,000 bajo garantía, no tener más contacto con la víctima y que la entrega de las armas de fuego.
Okay, if nothing further, it will be a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3.
Muy bien, será una fianza de $5,000 bajo firma a través de los servicios previos al juicio en un nivel 3.
Surrender all firearms.
Tiene que entregar todas las armas que posea.
No further contact with Mr. Alexis Barash Zavela.
No tener más contacto con el señor Alexis Zavala.
Stay away from the incident location at 619 Boulevard.
Tiene que mantenerse alejado del lugar donde ocurrió el incidente, el 619 Boulevard.
No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Se prohíbe el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras esté bajo fianza.
Good luck to you, sir.
Buena suerte, señor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next, Your Honor, we're gonna go to position number 7, Mr. Maurice Blake.
May the interpreter be dismissed, Your Honor?
Okay, do we need a Madam Interpreter for anything further this afternoon?
Yes, I do. I have a client who needs interpretation, and we need to go to breakout room.
Yep. Kim, I sent you a message in the chat regarding that client. Cook already took care of that client. That was the very first.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
Did you see it?
So we're gonna. So is he gonna be with us or not this afternoon?
And would be, Your Honor, we took care of that case.
Okay, so
That was position number 1 she's talking about, I believe.
okay, so we don't need Madam Interpreter anymore this afternoon. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Thank you, Ms. Chansey. We appreciate you being here this afternoon.
You're very welcome, sir. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Ma'am, double check here, Ms. Kim, what's the name of the client you were seeking
It was, yeah, it was always good to double check. I just flipped away. I'm sorry. Aguilar Herna, AGUILAR-HERNA.
Okay, yes, we've already dealt with, it's Rudy?
Yes,
Yes, we've already dealt with that position.
thank you.
Okay,
All right. Have a good day.
all right, thank you. You too. Good afternoon, Mr. Blake. You have been charged in case 24 CR 005452B with simple battery and reckless conduct. Is there a history, Ms. Washington?
Yes, Your Honor, this is the defendant's 4th arrest. The last arrest was in 2017 for aggravated assault and aggravated battery in Fulton County that appeared to be no prize. The defendant received first offender treatment in 2003 for purchase, possession, or sale of marijuana, and that was also sealed in 2003 out of DeKalb County. The defendant meets the criteria for level 2. Nothing further.
Yes, Ms. McConkey.
The defendant is accused of getting into a fight with the victim, Dennis Miller. The defendant threw 2 rocks at Mr. Miller and drug him across the ground. During the altercation, the victim cut the defendant with a box cutter to get the defendant to let him go. Officers did witness the defendant dragging the victim by the ankles. The defendant also spit blood on the victim's head as the victim was sitting on the sidewalk. The state's recommendation is a $1,000 surety bond on the simple battery, a $1,000 surety bond on the reckless conduct, anger awareness, no further contact with the victim, Dennis Miller, stay away from the incident location at 275 Pryor Street, Atlanta, and I would ask the court to sound for the victim, Mr. Dennis Miller.
Mr. Miller is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity to do so. Mr. Cook.
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 53 years old. He has lived in the area. for about 24 years. He's not currently working. We would be seeking a signature bond at whatever level the court deems appropriate. He has he's not working, so he has really no money for a bond. We have no objection to any kind of stay away or no further contact. I don't believe the two people, my client and the alleged victim, know each other in any way.
Did you ask for a stay away, Ms. McCockey?
I did ask for a stay away. That incident location, when I put it into Google, it just shows me a street view, but I do see that Gateway Center is located at that location, and I believe that is a homeless shelter.
Yes, it is. Your Honor, may I address the court, please?
Mr. Cook?
Just a moment. What do you want to say?
Whatever facts you guys have received.
Okay, that's not. I'm sorry, Your Honor. He does, from time to time, reside at the Gateway Center, and I think he has some property there.
A lot of it.
Well, I'm gonna, if Mr. Miller, I'm not sure if Mr. Miller is at Gateway or not, but as long as Mr. Miller is not at Gateway, I'm gonna allow him to go back. But if Mr. Miller is residing there, then he's gonna have to get his belongings and find somewhere else to go. So for today, for the simple battery, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial. Level 1. For the reckless, a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1 makes for a total of a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Dennis Miller. He can go to Gateway as long as Dennis Miller is not at Gateway. If Mr. Miller is at Gateway, then he's going to have to get his belongings and find somewhere else to reside. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
Your Honor, I do have one quick question for you. Does he have an address for pretrial? Are we able to get in contact via phone, address, anything?
Mr. Cook?
I'm going to review the address he gave me. Do you get mail or can you be contacted at this county you drive with these Springs? You cannot. Okay, Your Honor, do you have any other address?
Sir, I'm from Surrey. I don't have a family here.
Okay, Your Honor, apparently he's on the street. I had an address for him, but apparently it's not valid. So
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I don't think that either of these are restricted. Mr. Cook, I'm going to have, instead of going through pretrial, go through the jail.
It's not true, just
no.
I don't need to represent me. No.
Okay.
I need Morgan and Morgan to represent me.
Go ahead, talk yourself into
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. May I please have 5 minutes to address the court?
Mr. Blake, yes, let me just say you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. You have solicitors that are listening to what you say today. I have given you a signature bond, so you're going to be able to sign yourself out, okay? So I think what your lawyer there is telling you is that if I can't do any better for you. You may talk yourself out of me giving you a signature bond. I can't stop you.
Come on, Blake. Hey, all the talking stop, man. Stop. Your Honor, next is going to be position number 10, Mr. Octavius Evans.
Okay.
That would be my case, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McLean. Mr. Evans, you have been charged in case 24CR005455A with willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer. Is there a history, Ms. Washington?
This is a defendant's 23rd arrest. The last arrest was in August of this year for aggravated assault, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. And it does appear that the defendant was convicted in Fulton County for that case and is currently serving a 4-year sentence on probation. In 2006, there was a felony conviction for possession of marijuana. In 2011, there was a misdemeanor conviction for disorderly conduct and driving while license revoked. In 2017, there was also another misdemeanor conviction for simple assault and pointing a gun at another. There appears to be 2 open cases in DeKalb County, a 2022 case for theft by taking and battery family violence, and a 2021 case for willful obstruction, failure to maintain insurance, fleeing, and reckless driving. The defendant does meet the criteria for level 3. Nothing further.
Yes, Ms. McConkey?
Yes, Your Honor. Officers were flagged down by Jacqueline Bigby, who advised that her and her husband, the defendant, had gotten into a domestic dispute at the Spots Bar and Grill in Decatur. The dispute continued and got physical when they were driving, and the victim pulled the emergency brake and exited the vehicle and ran to the nearest gas station, which is the Chevron located at 507 Joseph E. Lowry Boulevard. The defendant showed back up to the gas station, possibly to pick up the victim. And while officers were conducting an interview with the defendant, he became hostile, which caused him to be detained. The defendant refused to allow officers to place him in handcuffs and then fled the scene. Of course, because officers determined that the domestic dispute started in Decatur, they told Ms. Bigsby that she would have to file the case in DeKalb. The state's recommendation, given the defendant's history, is a $1,000 surety bond, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Mr. McLean? You're on mute, Mr. McLean.
Your Honor, our defense recommendation for a signature bond or a low surety bond, the latter of which the state has already recommended, but we would like the court to also consider the possibility of a signature bond, simply because, as we've heard, this is one count that is charged in Fulton. There's not much I can say about the record, the prior arrests, but I would just emphasize one count of running away here.
It'll be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Evans.
Thanks, sir.
Welcome.
Next is going to be position number 12, Mr. Tariq Gray.
Good afternoon, Mr. Gray. You've been charged in case 24CR005457Y with simple battery against a police officer, disorderly conduct, and willful obstruction of law enforcement officers. Is there a history, Ms. Washington?
Yes, Your Honor. This is a defendant's 25th arrest with multi-state interaction in South Carolina, New York, and Georgia. The last arrest was April 13th of this year for possession of a Schedule II controlled substance, and that was out of DeKalb County. It appears that was not presented to the grand jury. In 2014, there are 2 separate misdemeanor convictions for disorderly conduct in New York. In 2015, there was a misdemeanor conviction for possession of marijuana less than an ounce. The defendant received first offender treatment in 2017 for theft by receiving stolen property, and that matter was sealed in 2022. Also, the defendant received first offender treatment in 2017, which was a separate case for 2 counts of financial card theft, and that was sealed in 2018. In 2017, there was a misdemeanor conviction for criminal trespass out of DeKalb County. In 2018, there's a felony conviction for theft by receiving stolen property and 2 counts of aggravated assault. There was a 2020 arrest in South Carolina for public disorderly conduct. No disposition was listed. There was a 2022 felony conviction for entering auto, a 2022 felony conviction for burglary, and it does appear that the defendant is serving 4 years on probation for that. And the sentence date was January of 2022. There was a 2022 arrest for disorderly conduct with Doraville Police Department, a 2022 arrest for willful obstruction, 1 FTA in 2023, and there appears to be a hold with APD for a probation violation. That warrant date is July 2nd of 2024. The defendant does meet the criteria for level 3 with the exceptions of any bail restricted charges. Nothing further.
Thank you, Ms. McConkey.
Officers approached the defendant and 2 women under suspicions of them loitering. After an investigation, it was determined that the defendant was wanted for a probation violation. So the defendant was placed in handcuffs and transported to the police station located at 3717 College Street. At the station, the defendant refused to remove his jewelry and refused to remove his shoestrings. When Officer Smith attempted to escort him into his cell, he placed both hands on the walls to prevent the officer from placing him inside. When Officer Smith attempted to get his shoe off his foot, the defendant started kicking. Investigator Sinaias arrived to help gain control of the defendant, and the defendant took a fighting stance and pushed the investigator in the chest. Given the lengthy criminal history that we just heard, the state's recommendation is a $1,000 surety bond on the simple battery, $500 surety bond on the disorderly conduct, $500 surety bond on the obstruction, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
This your case, Mr. McLean? No?
Sure. Our argument, the defense argument for a signature bond consideration, although we've heard what the recommendations of the state are, we would argue for a low bond like they recommended, or a signature bond consideration as well, since the felony POV or VP or whatever we call it, the violation of probation, is on his booking sheet. It's under no bond. That's really going to be in the driver's seat as far as his freedom goes right now. We would like to ask the court to consider a signature bond. This appears to be a little stubbornness at the police station, and there's nothing much I can say about the prior record, except I believe the FTA that was mentioned, if I remember correctly, if I'm not getting clients mixed up, I hope not. I think that was an FTA that was somewhere while he was in custody. Thank you.
Okay, for the simple battery, it'd be $1,000 good bond. For the disorderly, a $500 good bond. For the obstruction, a $500 good bond. Makes for a total of a $2,000 good bond. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Gray.
You done? No. Next, Your Honor, is going to be position number 13. Must be Gaynor.
How you doing today?
Yes, good. I'm doing well. Good afternoon, Mr. Gano. You have been charged in case 24 CR 0054711Y with willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer and disorderly conduct. Is there a history, Ms. Washington?
Yes, Your Honor. This is the defendant's second arrest. The last arrest was in February of this year for DUI, possession of drug-related objects, and purchase, possession, or sale of marijuana, which appears to be open with Georgia Southern University Police Department. The defendant does meet the criteria for level 2. Nothing further.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident that occurred on the 4th of August at 3184 Roswell Road. Sergeant Epps, EPPS, was working an off-duty job at that location called the Dive Bar. The defendant was seen sitting on his marked patrol vehicle on the hood of that vehicle. Sergeant Epps asked him to leave the vehicle, get off the vehicle. He refused to do so. Sergeant Epps removed him from the vehicle, and the defendant became disorderly, started using vulgar language and swung on the sergeant multiple times. A bystander had to step in and assist. And he tried to flee at that point. So a taser was deployed. This young man fell to the ground once he was tased and had to receive medical attention. He was just arrested for the first time, it sounds like, in February. The state would be recommending a $3,000 surety bond, Your Honor. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons. No contact with Sergeant Epps if he should happen to be around that individual, and to stay away from the dive bar at 3184 Roswell Road.
Mr. Klein?
Your Honor, let me make sure I'm unmuted there. Your Honor, he believes that the prior arrest from Georgia Southern Police Department has been taken care of, in that he has paid $7,500 in fines combined with everything down there. That sounds like a final disposition. That's his only prior arrest, was that incident. We would ask the court to consider a signature bond here, Your Honor. Of the two charges, one of them has to do with the potential for damaging the police car while sitting on the hood. You know, you could dent that, or maybe you could scratch it with your rear pocket buttons, but there was no detail saying that either of those things occurred. And if it was just a potential, we'd like to ask the court to consider that. He's a local person. He's lived here all his life. He went to Georgia Southern for 3 years. He's transferring up here to Gwinnett Tech to continue his bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering things.
All right, for the obstruction, a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. Disorderly, a $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. Makes for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. Stay away from the dive bar on Roswell Road. No further contact with Officer Epps, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Next, Your Honor, we have position number 14, Mr. Harris.
Good afternoon, Mr. Harris. You've been charged in case 24CR005460F with battery. Is there history, Ms. Washington?
Yes, this is the defendant's 13th arrest with multi-state interaction in Georgia and in Texas. The last arrest was July of this year for simple battery in Fulton County. And it appears that the defendant is serving a 12-month sentence on probation for that case. The case number is 24CR004666Y. The defendant received first offender treatment in 2008 for criminal trespass with Lowndes County. That was sealed in 2009. In 2011, the defendant, there was a misdemeanor conviction for carrying a weapon without a valid license, also out of Lowndes County. In 2018, there's a misdemeanor conviction for possession of marijuana less than an ounce. There appears to be an open Fulton County case from 2022 for theft by receiving stolen property, 12 counts of financial transaction card theft, and possession of amphetamine. There appears to also be a hold with Houston, Texas Police Department for an FTA regarding a misdemeanor criminal mischief case. The warrant date is July 18th of this year. The defendant does meet the criteria for level 3. Nothing further.
Alan?
Thank you, Your Honor. As pretrial just reported, this young man was just released with time served on a case 24CR004666Y. That is for assaulting someone at a bar, the Tongue and Groove nightclub. He entered a plea on the 25th of July, had been ordered to complete 8 weeks of anger management and 40 hours of community service. This incident before you is from the 4th of August, and it took place at 165 Cortlandt Street Northeast. It's alleged that this defendant got into an elevator and went to the 3rd floor of that location, which is the Cortlandt Hotel, where he approached a woman who had been in the elevator with him and told her he had something that would make her feel good. And when she told him she was not interested in his advances and pushed him away, he punched her in the face. She was seen to have visible injury, a laceration to her face under her eye, and a portion of this incident was captured on surveillance. So I think it should be noted that just after assaulting a stranger at a nightclub, we're here in front of the court on a similar incident with a visible injury. The victim's name is Mrs. Samantha Stidham, Stidham. We'd be asking for a $5,000 good bond, Your Honor. No contact with Mrs. Stidham. Stay away from the location at 165 Cortlandt Street Northeast. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons.
If Ms. Stidham's on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. Yes, Mr. McLean.
Your Honor, if the court could consider, in addition to that recommendation, a recommendation from us of signature bond or low surety bond in the neighborhood of 1,000, 1,500, that would be appreciated. He has been in the area. He's been in Atlanta area for 12 years. He has worked at various restaurants, McDonald's, Cheesecake Factory, sometimes through temp services. So he can get his mail through. He doesn't have a current good mailing address, but I believe he can get his mail through one of those mail drops and knows how to do that. So we would ask the court to consider a lower bond, such as a signature bond or a $1,500 maximum good bond.
It'll be a $3,000 good bond. No further contact with Ms. Stidham. Stay away from the Cortlandt Hotel on Cortlandt Street. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
I got camera and shit. All right, get up. Come on.
Not the trial, sir.
What do we have next?
We're gonna go to position number 17, Mr. Ronald Johnson.
Good afternoon, Mr. Johnson. You've been charged in case 24 CR 005462E with simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Washington?
Yes, Your Honor. This is the defendant's 33rd arrest with a multi-state interaction in Tennessee and Georgia. The last arrest was in 2019 for a parole violation. In 83, there was a felony conviction for armed robbery and a capital offense. Between 1990 and 1996, there are several felony convictions that were listed. In 92, there was a misdemeanor conviction for criminal trespass. 2011 misdemeanor for giving false name. 2011 felony conviction for forgery. 2017 misdemeanor conviction for driving while license suspended. 2018 misdemeanor conviction for criminal trespass. 2020 felony conviction for prohibited item by an inmate and possession of marijuana less than an ounce. There was an FTA in 2017, and it does appear that the defendant has a hold in Abbeville, Georgia for a probation violation regarding a possession of marijuana case. The warrant date is February 12th of 2024, and the defendant does meet the criteria for level 3. Nothing further.
Before we go on, Ms. Jean, I'm happy to have you here, but you're going to have to get out of your bedclothes and put on something appropriate. This is a court setting that is being YouTubed around the world, ma'am. So either you put your camera off and get yourself something that's appropriate to be in court. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, Ms. Allen.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is a delayed arrest. There's been warrants out for a period of time. This is an incident that occurred on the 11th of January of this year. It's reported by the victim. Her name is LaQuinta, Laquinta, last name Jackson. Police were called to 93 Allen Temple Court at about 7 a.m. where she reported that during a verbal altercation, this defendant shoved her down on the bed and then proceeded to mush her in the face and prevent her from getting up during an argument. He left the location when she went to call police. We've been in touch with Mrs. Jackson. She reports that she and the defendant are no longer in a relationship, but she would like no contact and to stay away from her residence. Given the history, Your Honor, we would be asking for a $3,000 surety bond, no contact with the victim in this case, Mrs. Jackson, and to stay away from 93 Allen Temple Court Northwest. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons.
Is this your case, Mr. McLean?
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor.
I apologize. I don't see someone named Miss Jackson on the Zoom, but if we could sound for her.
Miss LaQuinta Jackson is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity.
I'm here.
Okay, good afternoon, ma'am. Let's see, are you on video for me?
Yes,
There you go.
sir.
All right, can you raise your right hand for me?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm gonna need for you also to get yourself a jacket on or something, Miss Jackson.
Okay, so, okay, hold on one second. The jacket on, move. You want to get. Hey. Oh, shit, I don't know. I don't have a jacket right now. All right, I'm here.
Okay, ma'am, raise your right hand for me. Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can put your hand down. What would you like to tell the court this afternoon?
That is there any possible way that I could just drop the charges against him and just move on?
Okay, well, that's something that, well, this is just a bond hearing today, Ms. Jackson. How do you know Mr. Johnson?
We met while I was at work one day.
Are you still in touch with him?
No.
Okay. Anything further, ma'am?
No, that's it.
Okay, well, you can speak with the solicitor's office as this moves forward. Appreciate you being here this afternoon.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, Mr. McLean.
Factually, Your Honor, as to their being together, everybody's in agreement. They have not been together. Let's see. Let me put that on. Apparently my video is off for a sec. There we go. They have not been in touch with each other. I believe this was in January, and I think they were splitting up at the time. I would emphasize simply that it is a simple battery, family violence, and ask the court to consider a signature bond, Your Honor, despite the arrest record.
All right, it'll be a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3. No further contact with Ms. Jackson. Stay away from the Allen Temple Court address. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank y'all, sir. What was that bond amount again, Your Honor?
5,000 signature through pretrial, level 3.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next is going to be position number 20, Mr. Purnell.
Good afternoon, Mr. Purnell. You've been charged in case 24 CR 005465Y with loitering and prowling. Is there a history?
Yes, Your Honor. This is the defendant's 87th arrest with multi-state interaction in Pennsylvania, Georgia, and South Carolina. The last arrest was in June of 2023 for public indecency and possession of meth, which the defendant was convicted of in June of this year. Several felony convictions outside of the 10-year period, as well as misdemeanor convictions. In 2012, there was a felony conviction for theft by shoplifting. Two misdemeanor convictions in 2012 for criminal trespass, 6 misdemeanor criminal trespass convictions in 2014. There are misdemeanor convictions for theft by shoplifting in 2012, 2014, and 2 in 2015, 4 separate felony convictions for possession of cocaine in 2012, 2014, and 2 in 2016. There was a 2014 misdemeanor conviction for giving a false name, 2014 misdemeanor conviction for possession of marijuana, 2015 misdemeanor conviction for willful obstruction, 2015 misdemeanor conviction for public indecency, as well as theft by taking. There was an FTA in 2016, an FTA in 2017 and 2018, and the defendant does meet the criteria for level 3. Nothing further.
Alan?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from the 3rd of August. The victim in this case is a stranger to the defendant. She made a report of a prowler, called the police, and at about 3 p.m., this gentleman was observed on the porch or her patio at 713 West Peachtree Street. The victim's name is Hannah Kim, K-I-M. This was also seen by a neighbor. The defendant was seen trying to open the door at this location. A friend confronted the defendant and asked him to leave. The surveillance from the incident was provided to police. The victim has reported that she is afraid of being in her home and at home alone. Your Honor just heard about 87 cycles. The majority of the cycles in this gentleman's criminal history are for drug offenses and trespass offenses. I would note that the older convictions are violent, which include robbery in both.
It was 1 in 97 and 1 in 2002.
Yes, in South Carolina and Pennsylvania. We would be asking, Your Honor, for a $3,000 surety bond and to stay away from the location, have absolutely no contact with the victim in this case, Ms. Kim. The address again is 713 West Peachtree Street Northwest, and to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. If you could sound for Mrs. Kim, she may be joining us.
If Hannah Kim is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so.
Hi, Your Honor, I'm here.
Yes, good afternoon. Can you activate your, there you go. Can you raise your right hand for me?
Yes.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can place your hand down. Thank you, ma'am. What would you like to tell the court?
So after the perpetrator was confronted, he left my patio and then just walked across the street and entered a different neighbor's patio.
Okay. Anything further, ma'am?
No, sir, just that I'm afraid to be in my own house. So that's it.
Okay, thank you for being here this afternoon, Ms. Kim.
Thank you.
PD Kim, is this your case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay,
Yes, my client is 48 years old, Your Honor, and he has been homeless for 12 years, according to his memory. And we actually will be requesting social worker service to have a visit, not only to provide housing resources, but also to provide to do a behavioral health evaluation test treatment, because we want to make sure that he is competent or not. As of now, he has no employment. Only thing that he said he does is he provides hand wash services to the car, hand washing the cars, and he gets $10 per hour. There's no way that he's going to be able to pay for any bond. He does not have anybody who can bail him out. So any good bond will be like a no bond for him. He has a GED from Job Corps, and that's about it, Your Honor.
okay. It's going to be a $500 good bond. No further contact with Ms. Kim. Stay away from the West Peachtree Street address. I want him to have a social worker visit to assist with housing, also to administer a BHE. He is going to be on the SAP calendar on August 20th. As such, I'm on that calendar that day, Ms. Kim. I want a report and make sure that he doesn't fall through the cracks with the social worker as far as reporting to me back on the 20th regarding him. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So you
Your
know,
Honor, I'm
Yes,
sorry,
ma'am.
may I address the court?
Yes, ma'am.
I believe that address is incorrect. I'm not sure where they got that West Peachtree address.
Okay, and would you like to give me the proper address?
Yes, sir. It's 641 North Avenue Northeast,
Okay,
zip code 30308.
Thank you. I'll make sure our records reflect that change.
Thank you, ma'am.
all right. Okay, so I'll see Mr. Purnell back on August 20th.
Next one is gonna be position number 21, Mr. D'Angelo Rhodes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Rose. You've been charged in case 24 CR 005466H with battery family violence. Is there a history?
Yes, Your Honor, this is the defendant's fourth arrest. The last arrest was in 2016 for theft by deception and theft by receiving stolen property out of Henry County. The defendant was convicted of the theft by deception charge through the pretrial diversion program. In 2016, there was a felony conviction for 2 counts of armed robbery, 2 counts of aggravated assault with intent to rob, possession of a firearm, and willful obstruction. It does appear that the defendant is serving a 5-year sentence on probation following the completion of a 6-year confinement sentence. The defendant does meet the criteria for level 2. Nothing further.
Alan?
Thank you, Your Honor. Armed robbery conviction would make this a restricted offense, I believe. This is an incident from August the 4th. This involves the woman that this gentleman shares a child with. Her last name is Camp. Her first name is Sanquita, Sanquita. At 11:30 a.m., police were called to 1181 Metropolitan Parkway, where the victim reported that she was preparing to take their child to church and ironing his clothing when the defendant became upset because he did not want their child to go to church and snatched the clothing away from her as she was ironing the clothing. They tussled over the garments, and this caused her to fall to the ground. She had visible lacerations and scratches to her arms. The child that they share actually called the police, Your Honor, and that's when the altercation stopped. The defendant admitted a physical altercation occurred and reported that injuries were the result of him protecting himself. We have been in touch with the victim, Your Honor, and she said she was going to try to join us on Zoom today, Mrs. Camp. She did report that they share a child. She confirmed the information in the documents and in our version of the events. She did report that she's not in fear. So we would be asking for a $2,000 signature bond through level 3, Your Honor, just based on the conviction history and no violent contact with Miss Camp or the child they share. And I'll make sure I have the correct name for that child, Your Honor. Just give me one moment.
If Miss Sanquita Camp is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so.
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor. I'm on the line.
Okay, can you activate your camera for me, Miss Camp? Okay, there you go. Raise your right hand for me. Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, you can place your hand down. What would you like to tell the court?
I just wanted to say that I'm not scared or nervous. It was just a small spat, you know.
Has this happened before?
It has not happened. Like, no, he never got it.
Are you afraid of him?
Not at all. I'm not afraid of him.
And do you have children together?
We have one son. Both of us only have one kid. He's our only child.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to tell me, ma'am?
no, that I'm not afraid of him. It was just a family disagreement, and we really can't really afford a bond, so that's it.
All right. Thank you for being here this afternoon, Ms. Camp.
Your
Thank
Honor,
you so much.
the name of the child is Giovanni. Ms. Camp, does Giovanni have your last name?
He has his father's last name. Rose is his last name.
And how old is Giovanni?
He is 11.
And he called the police for this incident?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Like I said before, he's never seen us argue or like really go like get into any type of disagreement. So it just made him nervous, and that was, when they tell kids that's what you do. So that's what he did.
Okay. Anything further, Ms. Allen?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Ms. Kim?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. My client says that his explanation is he was the one who asked his son to call the police. He was the one who instructed him. And Your Honor, my client is 31 years old, and he has been here in Georgia for more than 11 years. He has his son here. They live together, and mother, sister, cousin, uncles. He has a family here. He's not running away. He will be here. He has been employed as a mover for the last 4 months, and he has been taking care of his child. And he graduated from high school. Right now, he is pursuing to get a CDL to drive trucks. And we would like to request for signature on bond through pretrial level 2, as he is recommended so, and no further violent contact. Thank you.
Okay, it'll be a $3,000 signature bond for pretrial level 2, 1-day anger awareness, no further violent contact with Ms. Camp, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Rose.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Next, Your Honor, is going to be position number 22, Mr. Anthony Russell.
Okay, is this the case where the charges were upgraded?
Yes, Your Honor, you all should have received a transfer order. This case is being taken up as an aggravated stalking by the DA's office. I knew it was late in the day, so we wanted to make sure this was addressed and not pushed off. I believe there's not a Riverside issue. This gentleman was booked in at, let's see, 1 a.m. on the 3rd, I believe. And so
Okay.
that's all I have at this point.
All right, I've already signed that order, Miss Allen, although I don't have it before me. Do you, I take it that you want me to give him a bond this afternoon?
No,
Or can-
I would not like you to give him a bond this afternoon. It's my opinion at this point that the court doesn't have jurisdiction over this charge, but that we have officially met the requirements of a Riverside issue, and he's been appraised of his rights and the charges against him. He'll be appearing on the first available felony first appearance, I guess.
Okay, well, I'll let them deal with any other issues in the case. Your case will be reset and for the Superior Court, Mr. Russell.
You want to come to court tomorrow. Next, Your Honor, this is going to be position number 24, Mr. Shears.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Sheard. You've been charged in case 24 CR 005467A with a hit and run, false report of a crime, failure to obey a stop sign, and failure to obey signs or control devices. Their history, Ms. Washington?
Yes, Your Honor, this is the defendant's 4th arrest. The last arrest was in 2022 for false imprisonment, cruelty 3rd, hindering emergency phone call, 2 counts of aggravated assault, fleeing, and criminal damage to property. It does appear that that case was dismissed. There was a 2022 misdemeanor conviction for disorderly conduct in Bartow County. Otherwise, no felony convictions were listed. The defendant does meet the criteria for level 2. Nothing further.
Sally?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident that occurred on the 29th of May this year. The defendant and another individual who he was in a vehicle with made a report that they'd been struck by a vehicle on North Avenue here in Atlanta. He reported that Mr. Sheard in front of you reported that he was a passenger in this green Dodge Ram. That they'd been hit and it was a hit and run. Investigation revealed CCTV footage from in and around the area. It showed the defendant actually driving the vehicle, turning out of the faculty parking lot at Georgia Tech, ignoring a stop sign there and striking someone in a Toyota. That person pulled over to the side to see if the gentleman who hit them was going to stop. This defendant left the scene, went around people at the intersection and then ran a red light in order to get away. He was also seen to have a suspended license when reviewed. So the arrest warrant was issued after investigation and you have the charges in front of you. We'd be asking for a $2,000 SOB through level 2, Your Honor.
Okay. Who's representing? I'm not able to tell who's representing.
I am
Ms.
representing.
Go ahead.
Yes. My client is 23 years old. We would like to request for a signature on bond through jail. He denies the allegation and he has he's gainfully employed at Solar Panel. He graduated from high school. He also went to trade school. Your Honor, he was he also has 3 minor children, Your Honor, that he has to take care of. So signature on bond through jail is what we would like to request for. Thanks.
Okay, it'll be a $500 signature bond through the jail on each count, makes for a total of a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next, Your Honor, we have position number 25, Mr. Dominique Thomas.
Yes, good afternoon. Thomas, you've been charged in case 24 CR 005468J with criminal trespass. Is there a history?
Yes, Your Honor. This is the defendant's 16th arrest with multi-state interaction in Florida, Ohio, and Colorado. The defendant's last arrest was in February of this year for theft in Florida, which appears to be open, and I believe it's a misdemeanor incident. In 2013, there is a misdemeanor conviction for a violation of a violation of a protective order in Ohio, a 2013 misdemeanor conviction for domestic violence in Ohio, 2016 misdemeanor conviction for aggravating menacing, a 2022 misdemeanor conviction for theft in Colorado, a 2022 misdemeanor conviction for drug paraphernalia out of Florida, a 2024 misdemeanor conviction for theft also out of Florida. There was a 2022 FTA from Colorado, and the defendant does meet the criteria for level 3. Nothing further.
Sally?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is August the 3rd incident. Mr. Cecil Hill is the property owner at 144 Walnut Street. He called and reported to the police that at the incident location, which is a residence he owns, but it is vacant, he went to the location at 5 a.m. that morning and saw that all the lights had been turned off. He reported that the night before, he noticed that an interior window had been damaged and broken. So police arrived on the scene and made entry into the location at his request. Before him, inside, Mr. Thomas was found and not authorized to be there. Mr. Thomas told police he was there because he'd been hired to clean. The victim, who also was on scene, reported that that was not the case, and this gentleman is not someone he knows, and he did not give them permission to be there. You just heard the 3 states where this gentleman has criminal history. It does look like the most recent history is related to drug objects and theft, as well as failures to appear. So we'd be asking for a $2,000 SOB through pretrial at level 2 or 3. Stay away from the location at 144 Walnut Street and have no contact with Mr. Hill, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, Your Honor.
Cecil Hill is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity. Okay, who's representing Mr. Thomas?
I do, Your Honor. Mr. Thomas is 31 years old. I was hoping that this case was going to be referred to PAD. However, he is he was born in Ohio and he graduated from high school there. He does have a high school diploma and he's not employed. He moved to Georgia to start fresh, but he was arrested for criminal trespass, Your Honor, and he's homeless as of now, and we would like to request for signature on bond through jail. No objection to any kind of stay away or no further contact with Mr. Cecil Hill. And my client actually does have disability, so he gets a little bit of disability check, and it's not that high, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial, level 2. Stay away from Walnut Street address, no further contact with Cecil Hill, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Does he have any type of contact information, Ms. Kim?
We do have an email address, Your Honor.
Okay, we can provide that to pretrial also. Thank you.
Yes.
Good luck to you, Mr. Thomas.
Next, Your Honor, is going to be position number 26, Mr. Eric Riddell.
Good afternoon, Mr. Vidal. You've been charged in case 24 CR 0054669E with criminal trespass and willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer. Is there a history, Ms. Washington?
Yes, Your Honor, this is a defendant's 37th arrest. The last arrest was in June of this year for criminal trespass in East Point. It does appear that that case is open with Fulton County. There is also an arrest in May of this year for criminal trespass, which also appears to be open with Fulton County. There are misdemeanor convictions outside of the 10-year period, including theft by shoplifting, simple battery, and marijuana. There are misdemeanor convictions for criminal trespass, including 2 in 2008, 1 in 2010, 1 in 2011, 1 in 2012, and 1 in 2013. There was a misdemeanor conviction for disorderly conduct in 2015 and 2018, an FTA in 2015 and in 2019. In 2020, there was a felony conviction for willful obstruction, and majority of the arrests listed were for criminal trespass. The defendant does meet the criteria for level 3. Nothing further.
Ms. Washington, would you please give me those open case there in Fulton State Court? Is that right?
Yes.
Would you give me those numbers, please? And Ms. Allen, if you don't have the bonds on those, would you provide those for me?
Your Honor, it might make sense to have a breakout on this case. I think this is Ms. Kim's case. Is that
Yes.
your understanding, Ms. Kim, that we should have a breakout?
Yes. Sure.
Okay.
We have no breakout.
I'll get those bond orders.
Okay, thank you. Do you want me to do that now, Norris? Can I take this breakout?
You can. This is our last one in here, Your Honor, and I don't know if ACDC is on yet. It might still be.
Okay. Okay. Oh, there they go. So
There they go.
I'll be back with ACDC. So if we can place Miss Helen, Miss Kim, and myself into a breakout room. Okay, is there anyone on the Zoom call, that is related to Mr. Eric Verdell? I'm not sure if that person was or wasn't.
He's saying that's his mother, Your Honor, the one that
Oh,
said.
okay. She doesn't seem to be with us anymore, though. Yes, ma'am, I see you there. If you can, see if you can unmute your device. Yes, yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
So I can't see.
The lady that's on the Samsung, can you hear me?
I don't think she can hear you.
Yeah, I don't think that she can hear me. Mr. Vidal, it's my understanding that you already have a court date. So for this case, it's going to be $1,000 good bond on each charge, which makes for a $2,000 good bond. You're to stay away from the 1980 Delow Street address. And you have a hearing coming up on Thursday, 8/8, in the MH court. So you'll be heard again on another with
When I get a signature bond, so I had to stay here for how long?
they'll address your case on Thursday, Mr. Verdell. Okay?
It's Thursday.
This Thursday, yes, sir.
I come back to court on Thursday.
You're coming back to court on Thursday, and we'll see if we can get you some assistance then, okay?
So how long do I stay in jail, period?
That I don't know. You'll have to stay at least till Thursday, though.
And then from Thursday, I'll probably get out from then.
Well, they'll talk to you on Thursday. It's my understanding that you've been going to that court and they've been assisting you, okay?
So I'll come back to court Thursday.
Yes, sir.
It's Thursday.
This Thursday, yes, sir. Okay? All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Verdell. All right, so we ready for ACDC?
Good afternoon. I do not have any position numbers. So starting in front of you is Miss Humphrey.
He's back. You sit down right there.
Ms. Humphreys is position number 15. Good afternoon, Ms. Humphreys. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. You've been charged in case 24 CR 005461C with simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Washington?
Yes, Your Honor, this is the defendant's sixth arrest. The last arrest was in 2011 for battery out of Florida, which appears to have been dismissed. There was a 2009 felony conviction for a DUI, serious bodily injury, out of Florida. Otherwise, the defendant does meet the criteria for level 1. Nothing further.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident that occurred on December the 24th of 2023. So this is a delayed arrest. The victim in this case is Kenneth Pierce. I believe he is on the Zoom. It's reported that where both of these folks live at 500 Sandy Lane. Well, they weren't at their location when this incident occurred, but they do both live together at that location, or at least they did at the time. This occurred at 123 Oak Street between 5 and 7 p.m., Your Honor. I apologize. The victim in the case reported that he picked the defendant up to take her to work, and that during their ride, they engaged in a verbal altercation, and he pulled off the road and got out of the vehicle to prevent further escalation. He was directed to get back in the car, and he did so. Their argument continued, unfortunately, and this defendant struck him in the face on the right side with her fist. He then got out of the vehicle. No injuries were reported by the victim, and the defendant was spoken to by phone as a follow-up with domestic violence investigators, and she admitted the argument and admitted to striking the victim in the face. Our office has been in touch with Mr. Pierce. He reports that they are in a relationship and continue to live together at that address. I just noted 500 Sandy Lane, that they share no children, that they had another altercation actually on July the 31st, and he went to the police precinct. He reports that most recent incident resulted in multiple slaps and strikes to his face. He also reported that he'll be leaving the residence that they share, so we'd be asking for a stay away if he is at the location at the 500 Sandy Lane. Otherwise, the defendant can return there, and to have no violent contact, Your Honor. Because of the lack of criminal history related to this kind of behavior, I do understand that there was a 2011 battery arrest that was dismissed. I would at this point, even though it's unusual, ask for no violent contact. But we can talk to Mr. Pierce. We can sound from Mr. Pierce and see if that's still the case. It is troubling to the state that there has just been another incident. I don't have documentation of that yet at this point, but it does seem to be escalating. So I'd leave it at your Honor's discretion. I'm inclined to say no contact, but I'm not sure of some of the dynamics here.
Pierce, I see you on the line. If you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. I'll need for you to, you of course don't have to, but if you would like to address the court, you'll have to unmute yourself, activate your camera, and I'll have to swear you in. Okay. Hear that he wishes to address the court this afternoon. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. My client says that they don't have any relationship anymore. They broke up. So either way, we have no objection to stay away or have no contact with him, Your Honor. She is gainfully employed as a public manager. She has a high school diploma. We would like to request for signature on bond through pretrial level 1 and no further violent contact. Thank you.
Okay.
So if it's the defense position that they're no longer together and no contact wouldn't be an issue, then that's what we would request.
Okay.
I do see a note in the chat that the victim is trying to join. If he's unable to join us, I'll make sure we reach out to him.
Okay. It'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1, 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with Mr. Pierce, stay away from the 500 Sandy Lane address if he is there. She can have a one-time escort to see if he's there. If he's there, then she can't reside there. If she and must get her belongings and find someplace else to reside. If he's no longer there, then she can stay there. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh, he says that he's already moved out, so as such, she can go back to that. It'll be no further contact, but there won't be a stay away provision. Okay, good luck to you all.
Thank you.
Next, we have Ms. Powell. Come on, Ms. Powell.
Milton, you want me to call the positions for you?
Yes, thank you. I'm starting from the bottom up.
You start from the bottom?
Yeah. Powell.
That's
Then
position number 19, Your Honor.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Powell. You've been charged in case 24 CR 005464J with reckless conduct. Is there a history, Ms. Washington?
This is the defendant's first arrest, Your Honor. The defendant meets the criteria for UJR jail. Nothing further.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident that occurred on August the 1st. Police were called, I believe, by the defendant who reported that her child, Amari Powell, initials AP, was sleepy, exhibiting strange behaviors and spaced out. Ultimately, it was discovered that 2 gummies or edible pieces of what is the Schedule 1 narcotic were left in plain view on the table in the residence. The defendant reported that she reached out to her roommate, who she identified as Mink, M-I-N-K. That roommate said she had purchased these edibles from a dispensary. And when the defendant, Mrs. Powell, in front of you, asked her son what he had eaten, he pointed to these edibles that were on the table and told her he'd had 2 of them. He was transported to Grady for treatment. The charge in this case is reckless conduct based on allowing access to the narcotic in the home in plain view. We would go along with the recommendation of pretrial and have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Thank you.
Any objection to any of that, Mr. McLean?
Yes, Your Honor, we do think it should be a UJR, yes, so that's fine. Your Honor, the only thing to add, and this may not be absolutely necessary to add, was that the upstairs residence may be somewhat separate from the downstairs residence. I haven't gotten the details on that. So we had a good discussion about this won't be happening again, Your Honor.
Okay, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Powell.
Next, Your Honor, is going to be position number 18, Ms. Minor.
Minor.
Yes, good afternoon, Ms. Minor. You've been charged in case 24 CR 0054708 with criminal trespass. Is there a history, Ms. Washington?
This is the defendant's 3rd arrest with multi-state interaction in North Carolina and in Georgia. The last arrest was July 28th of this year for criminal trespass and theft by taking. The defendant is currently on pretrial and we will be surrendering the bond for that case. The defendant does meet the criteria for level 2. Nothing further.
Salen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident that occurred at the Ponce City Market, that's 675 Ponce de Leon. At 3 p.m., Mrs. Minor was seen entering the premises. She'd been given numerous warnings to stay away and had just been arrested on the 26th of July based on a March 2024 criminal trespass order that had been issued. She was also on surveillance at this time. This is the 30th of July, this incident in front of you, Your Honor. We'd be asking for a $2,000 surety bond and to stay away from the location, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
McLean?
Can we sound and see if her mom is on the line? That would be Faye Henry.
What's the name?
Faye Henry. I believe last name is Henry. First name is definitely Faye.
If Ms. Faye Henry is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity. Don't think so, Mr. McLean.
Okay. Your Honor, yes, it was July 26th when the previous thing occurred. Ms. Minor is having trouble making it here in Atlanta. I think the family wants to help move her back home and get some things straightened out, Your Honor. We would ask the court to consider a signature bond. I was hoping the mom would be on for those purposes. Even though there was only 4 days separating the two things, we would ask the court to consider a signature bond and perhaps with that order that she be with her family down there in Warner Robins.
For today, it's going to be a $500 good bond. Stay away from the Ponce City Market. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Minor.
Your Honor, I apologize, but I have to address one thing. For Ms. Hadid Humphreys. I believe that she was arrested last Thursday, and she has been in the jail. This is her 5th day. So, and she said there was no other charges. We would like to make sure that it was not a Riverside issue.
Well, she got a signature bond, so
Yes, but usually when it is Riverside issue, she gets signature bond through jail and no restrictions, like no classes or no contact bonds
well,
restriction. There.
that's not normally the way I operate the court, Miss Kim, as far as, I think I'm required to give a signature bond, and I have given a signature bond, and in this case, I'm gonna stick with what I've already given. I'm not sure if it was a Riverside issue or not, but she's received a signature bond.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Who do we have next?
I show Your Honor that she was arrested on August the 1st, but not booked into our jail until the 3rd.
Okay.
We're going
All
to
right.
position number 11, Ms. Foster.
Good afternoon, Ms. Foster. You've been charged in case 24 CR 005456F with criminal trespass and damage to property. Is there a history, Ms. Washington?
This is the defendant's 8th arrest with multi-state interaction in Georgia, Tennessee, and Ohio. The last arrest was in March of this year for a probation violation with Woodstock. The defendant appeared to receive first offender treatment in 2023 for battery, family violence, and cruelty to the 2nd degree. It appears that the defendant is serving a 3-year sentence on probation with Cherokee County for this case. But I am not sure if that probation was revoked, because later in the GCIC, it did mention that there was a revocation of probation. The sentence date was August 14th of 2023. There were no prior arrests that were listed for criminal trespass or criminal damage to property. Mostly were drug related. There was an FTA in 2023, and the defendant does meet the criteria for level 2. Nothing further.
Thank you. Ellen?
It's me, Your Honor.
No, I'm sorry. Ms. McConkey?
The defendant is accused of vandalizing the property of Canton Johnson by uprooting and destroying multiple large plants that were in his garden. The responding officer stated that he had been dispatched to the location multiple times in reference to disputes between the couple who did used to live together prior to ending their relationship. The state's recommendation is a signature bond, no further contact with Canton Johnson, stay away from the incident location, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond, and I would ask the court to sound for Mr. Canton Johnson.
Mr. Johnson is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity to do so. Doesn't appear so. Mr. McLean?
Nothing to add, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, it will be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. No further contact with Mr. Canton Johnson, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Did you ask for a stay away, Ms. McConkey? I'm sorry.
Yes, I did ask for a stay away. The incident location is 732 Caspian Street, Southwest Atlanta.
Okay, and stay away from that address. Yes, good luck to you, Ms. Foster.
Next is going to be position number 9, Ms. Bailey.
While I believe that was my last case, if I'm correct.
Are you asking somebody, Mr. McLean?
Yes, I believe I don't have any further cases, in which case I'd like a breakout room with the client that I just handled, Ms. Callie Foster.
We can't do that right now, McLean. We're handling the rest of the cases in ACDC.
Okay, well, as soon as possible, if I could do that. Don't let Ms. Foster go. I'd like to speak with her. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Ms. Daly. You've been charged in case 24 CR 005454E with battery. Is there a history, Ms. Washington?
Yes, Your Honor. The defendant has 15 prior arrests from North Carolina. The last arrest was in 2019 for assault with a deadly weapon in North Carolina, and that appeared to be dismissed. There was a 2012 misdemeanor conviction for shoplifting, a 2013 arrest for misdemeanor assault and battery in North Carolina, which appeared to be dismissed. There was a 2014 misdemeanor conviction for larceny, a 2015 arrest for misdemeanor assault and battery and larceny in North Carolina, which also appeared to be dismissed, a 2018 misdemeanor conviction for larceny, a 2018 felony conviction for assault, physical injury in North Carolina, a 2018 misdemeanor conviction for larceny, and a 2018 misdemeanor conviction for larceny and trespass. There was an FTA in 2019, and the defendant does meet the criteria for level 3. Nothing further.
Let me make sure I'm on mute here.
Okay. Ms. McConkey?
Yes, Your Honor. Officers arrived at the incident location 140 Pine Street Northwest and met with the victim, Trezaria Brown, who advised that she went outside to get some fresh air, and the defendant, who was sitting outside the apartment unit as well, said, "Bitch, stop playing with me," and charged at her. The victim states she was punched, kicked in the face twice, and spat on. On-site security Mona Harris advised that she reviewed security footage where it looks like both parties were exchanging words, and then the defendant punched the victim in the face several times. As a security officer was escorting the victim away, the defendant spat on the victim. The victim did sustain a black eye as a result of the attack. Our office has spoken with the victim, Ms. Trezaria Brown, who states that her and the defendant share a mutual friend. She confirmed the events in the warrant, stated the incident location is where her friends live, and they just happen to have friends in common. They have never had an altercation in the past. She's not in fear of the defendant and is okay with having contact. Given the defendant's history, which does show that she has a pattern of violence, I know that some of those arrests were dismissed, but the fact still stands that she was arrested numerous times for violent behavior. The state's recommendation is a $2,500 surety bond. Though the victim stated she wants no further contact, I think no further violent contact, I think no further contact would be appropriate just to allow even more cooling down time. So no further contact with the victim, Trezaria Brown, anger awareness, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol. And I would ask the court to sound for the victim, Trezaria Brown.
Okay. I see a Trezaria. The last name on the screen is Bowie, so don't know if it's. So Ms. Trezaria, if you would like to address the court, you'll have to activate your camera for me.
Oh, and I apologize. Her last name is Bowie, not Brown. That was my error.
Okay. Yes. Yes, Ms. Bowie. If you would like to address the court, I'll need for you to raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, you can place your hand down. Can you put some more light on yourself so I can see you? All right, very good. Thank you, ma'am. What would you like to tell the court?
I do not feel safe around the defendant. She did it intentionally. She just charged at me for no reason.
Okay. Do you all live in the same apartment complex? Or not?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, but different apartments?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And you don't want to have her to have any further contact with you, is that correct?
No, Your Honor, I don't feel safe around her.
Okay, all right. Anything else you want to tell me, Ms. Bowie?
I feel like she's gonna do it again.
Okay, all right, so I'm gonna keep her from being around you. Thank you for being here this afternoon, Miss Bowie.
You're
Miss
welcome.
Bowie,
Yes,
how far are your apartments from each other? Are they in the same building?
yes, 2 apartments down.
Okay, so she's 2 apartments below you or above you.
No, like down from me. Like
Okay,
2 down.
I see. So we are gonna ask for a stay away, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm gonna keep her away from Miss Bowie, but I'm not gonna keep her away from her own apartment. It's just that she can't have any contact with Miss Bowie whatsoever. And I'll make that clear. Thank you, Miss Bowie. Who's representing? Mr. Cook, is this your case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay,
Yes, Your Honor, my client is 30 years old. She's lived in the Atlanta area about 2 years. She denies the accusations as stated in the warrant, and her position is that the alleged victim is, I'm sorry, Miss Bowie was actually the aggressor here. We have no issue with no further contact. Obviously, she needs to be able to stay in her apartment. We would be seeking a signature bond at whatever level the court deems appropriate. Nothing further on.
okay. It'll be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3, 1-day anger awareness. No further contact with Miss Bowie. Stay away from Miss Bowie's apartment. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Ms. Daly, let me make it perfectly clear what stay away means. It means if you see her, you need to go the opposite direction. You cannot speak to her. You can have no type of contact with Ms. Bowie whatsoever. And if you do, you'll be in violation of this this bond order. Good luck to you both.
Your Honor, position number 5 and position number 6, there are conflicts. You want to bring them both up at the same time?
Yes, that's fine. Thank you.
So we have position number 6, Shaquisha Bill, and position number 5, Laquita Bill.
Good afternoon, Ms. Laquita Bell and Ms. Shaquisha Beal. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. You have a right to have an attorney present at these proceedings. Unfortunately, we do not have a conflict attorney available to represent you today. As such, if you would like to proceed today, you will have to proceed pro se without the advice of a lawyer. If you would like to come back tomorrow when we can have a lawyer here to represent you, I'm happy to give you that opportunity also. What would you like for me to do today?
Proceed.
Okay, so let's start with, I guess, Miss Laquita Beal.
Yes.
Okay, if we can have her take a seat, please. Yes, Ms. Beal, you have been charged in case 24 CR 005450E with battery and 2 counts of cruelty to children in the 3rd degree. Is there a history, Ms. Washington?
Yes, for Laquita Bill, this is the defendant's first arrest, and the defendant meets the criteria for level 1.
Okay, Ms.
Okay.
Mokaki?
Yes. The victim in this case is Brianna Beal. She advised that she was jumped by her mother, Shaquita Beal, and her sister, Laquita Beal, as well as her brother, Joshua Beal. The victim and her mother, defendant Shaquita Beal, had gotten into a verbal dispute about the victim asking her mother to pick up diapers for her. The victim grabbed her belongings and was leaving the location with her 2 children when defendant Shaquita struck her in the head several times with a Stanley cup. Her brother and sister, Laquita, and her brother, Joshua, joined their mother and began to collectively beat up the victim. The victim stated that she did not remember much after that and lost sight of her minor children, both with the initials KB, and they were present at the time of the altercation. She eventually got her way and ran to the Zone 3 precinct for help. Officers spoke with the witness, Tyshawn Davis, who confirmed that the victim had been jumped by the three individuals. Officers were able to locate the victim's children and return them safely to her. The victim sustained a laceration to her head. Just to bring to the court's attention, the victim has an open 2023 case with her brother Joshua Beal, 23 CR 003737E. Part of her bond is that she stays away from that incident location, 1960 Rambling Drive at Southwest Atlanta. For defendant Laquita Beal, the state's recommendation is a $1,000 surety on the battery, $500 on each count of cruelty to children, no further contact with Brianna Beal or her minor children, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. And I would ask the court to sound for the victim, Miss Brianna Beal.
Okay. So that was a lot. So Brianna Beal, how is she related to Laquita Beal?
That is her sister.
Sister. And Brianna Beal, I think you said wasn't supposed to be at that Rambling address?
That is correct. Part of her bond for that 2023 case is that she stay away from that location.
Okay. And I know we're not there yet, but Shaquisha Beal, how is she related?
That is the victim, Brianna Beal's mother.
Mother, okay.
And I will say in that 2023 case, the victim, Brianna Beal, she did have a black eye and some other injuries from an altercation where she says her mother at one point jumped in and was beating her.
Okay. So Brianna Beal is not supposed to be at the Rambling location. And do we know whether Laquita Beal and Shaquisha Beal both live there?
Yeah, it's my understanding that they both live there along with.
So you're not asking for a stay away, just a
No.
no further contact?
Yes, that's correct. Just no further contact.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to piece it together.
I know it's a lot of moving parts here.
Okay, so for Miss Laquita Beal, for the battery, it's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. For the two cruelties, a $500 signature bond through pretrial level 1 makes for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Brianna Beal, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. And let me make sure, I take it that is Miss Brianna Beal with me this afternoon? Doesn't appear so. And if I didn't say, yeah, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. So Miss Beal, I'm gonna give you a signature bond. You'll have to make sure that you show up for your next hearing date, ma'am, okay?
Okay, that's fine.
All right. All right, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Now, Miss Shaquisha Beal, you've been charged, Ms. Beal, in case 24 CR 005451E with battered family violence and 2 counts of cruelty to children in the 3rd degree. Is there a history, Ms. Washington?
This is the defendant's 4th arrest. The last arrest was in 2021 for battery family violence with College Park Police Department. It does appear that that was null pros. The case number is 21 CR 002923B. The other arrests were for traffic violations and a theft charge. The defendant does meet the criteria for UJR. Nothing further.
Yes, Ms. McCock, anything to add?
No, just the recommendation for Miss Shaquisha. The recommendation was a $2,000 battery on the battery, $500 on each, cruelty to children, no further contact with the victim or her minor children, anger awareness, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol.
Okay. So I'm gonna give Ms. Shaquisha Beal the same, a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1 on the battery, A $500 signature bond through pretrial for each of the cruelty to children, makes it a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Ms. Brianna Bill or her children, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Bill.
Your Honor, I
Yes.
represent this Ms. Bill.
Oh, well, you should have spoken up.
I'm sorry, I tried to jump in, but I didn't want to break your momentum. I like what you were saying, so I just.
You have any objections, Mr. Cook?
No, Your Honor, I just would like, I don't know if there's a way of, putting this in the, order. I'm pretty sure my client says that the police have been called on Brianna about 10 times. I believe she's probably the catalyst to all this. I don't believe 4 of her family members jumped her and beat her up. But that's just my opinion. We have no problem with the stay away, but if Brianna, who is not.
There is no stay away.
Oh, there wasn't. I'm sorry. Okay. No problem. Oh, I'm sorry. On the no further contact, if Brianna is showing up in violation of an order, there may be a little contact for a few moments, and then my client needs to be instructed to call the police.
Well, if they see Brianna, they should call the police.
Okay.
So.
Just want to make sure they understand that.
Okay.
Thank you. I apologize.
All right. No, you're fine. You're fine. Good luck to you, Ms. Beal.
Thank you.
All right, that's it, Your Honor. And Mr. McLean did speak to his client on the phone.
Okay, so
there was Miss Aria Alves.
That's a mister, and he waived his appearance.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
okay, we'll see you next time, Officer Milton.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
You're welcome.
Okay, so. So the waiver, Mr. Alves, charged in case 24 CR 005446G with theft by shoplifting and disorderly conduct. Is there a history, Ms. Washington?
Yes, Your Honor. This is the defendant's 8th arrest. The last arrest was in June of this year for criminal trespass in Fulton County. There was a 2023 arrest for theft by shoplifting with Doraville Police Department. No disposition was listed. There was a separate 2023 arrest for theft by shoplifting with Decatur Police Department. No disposition was listed. Another arrest with DeKalb County in 2023 for theft by shoplifting, and no disposition was listed for that either. And there was a February 2024 arrest for theft by shoplifting with the Atlanta Police Department, and there are no dispositions listed. And I believe that there are no dispositions because they're all fairly recent. But the defendant does meet the criteria for level 2. Nothing further.
Yes, Ms. McConkey.
The defendant is accused of shoplifting 8 beers from the BP gas station located at 180 Ralph Abernathy Boulevard in Atlanta. The total cost was $31.92. He is also accused of bringing a machete into the establishment and swinging it around, which placed the victim, Nakia Simpson, who works at the gas station, in fear for her life. The state's recommendation is a $500 surety bond on the shoplifting, a $2,500 surety bond on the disorderly conduct, no further contact with Nakia Simpson, stay away from that incident location, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. And I would just ask the court to sound for Ms. Nakia Simpson.
Tell me the location again, I'm sorry.
180 Ralph Abernathy Boulevard, Atlanta. When I looked it up, it showed that it was a BP gas station.
Okay. This your case, Mr. Cook?
Yeah, we obviously don't have any objection to a stay away or no further contact. My client is huntless. We would be seeking, and we appreciate the record that's stated, although nothing seems to have been completed so far. This is 8 beers on the shoplifting. We would be seeking a signature bond at whatever level the court deems appropriate. Again, we would have no no problem with any of the other conditions as recommended.
All right, for the theft, it'll be $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. For the disorderly, a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2 makes for a total of a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. No further contact with Nakia Simpson. Is Ms. Simpson on the line? Stay away from the BP on Ralph Abernathy Boulevard, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Okay, I think that completes the 2 o'clock calendar, if I'm not mistaken.
I hope so.
This will be it.
All right, very good. Ms. Champion?
Position number 1 is a total of a $2,000 sign-on bond through the jail reset further notice. Position number 2 is a total of a $5,000 pretrial bond level 2 reset further notice. Position number 3 is a total of a $5,000 pretrial bond level 1 reset further notice. Position number 4 is a $2,000 pretrial bond level 2 reset further notice. Position number 5 is a total of a $3,000 pretrial bond level 1 reset further notice. Position number 6 is a total of a $3,000 pretrial bond level 1 reset further notice. Position number 7 is a total of a $5,000 reset further notice sign-on bond. Position number 8 is a $5,000 pretrial level 3 reset further notice. Position number 9 is a $3,000 pretrial level 3 reset further notice. Position number 10 is a $3,000 pretrial level 3 reset further notice. Position number 11 is a $2,000 pretrial level 2 reset further notice. Position number 12 is a total of a $2,000 good bond reset SAP 820. Position number 13 is a $3,000 pretrial level 2 reset further notice. Position number 14 is a $3,000 good bond reset SAP 820. Position number 15 is a pretrial $3,000 bond reset further notice. Position number 16 is a $3,000 pretrial level 2 reset further notice. Position number 17 is a $5,000 pretrial level 3 reset further notice. Position number 18 is a $500 good bond reset SAP 820. Position number 19 is a $2,000 pretrial reset further notice. Position number 20 is a $500 good bond reset SAP 820. Position 21 is a $3,000 pretrial level 2 reset further notice. Position 22 is transferred to Superior Court. Position number 23, the reckless conduct, is a $5,000 pretrial level 3, the simple batteries, non-pros. Position 24 is a total of a $2,000 sign-on bond through the jail reset further notice. Position 25 is a $2,000 pretrial bond level 2 reset further notice. And position number 26 is a total of a $2,000 good bond reset to the MH court on Thursday, the 8th. Any questions?
Okay. If not, thank you all. I'll see you tomorrow. Y'all
Thank
have a
you.
good